Namaste. It's a bit of a problem this afternoon for me. There have been a bit of issues inviting guests and so on. I don't know what's wrong, but um, here we are starting. So my name is Vivekanand. Welcome to this Hangout on Air, and we are starting a bit late today due to the technical problems I have been facing. It's a strange thing to say because I am a technology person and these things shouldn't happen to me, but that's life. Okay, I have started a timer here and I have invited quite a few guests. Hoping to get a panel full of people, but at the moment, David Leopold is with me, and was hoping to get David Norris, who is a business doctor, a coach, but he's a newbie to Google Plus. But apparently he has had a health problem. He has had a slip disc, so apparently he's not able to even sit up. It probably is quite painful for him, and I wish him well. Hope he will be back, hopefully next week or maybe later. Anyway, I wish him well, and we have to get the show going as of now. So hopefully Scott Scowcroft or somebody would join us. There may be some issues with Google today. I don't know, because I did what I always did. Sent the invite through the Hangout interface, but even David Leopold said he never got any, so I had to paste the link separately and get him into the Hangout. So strange things are happening, but anyway, Google always changes, and that's why I love them, but often it gets complicated. Anyway, this is the third episode in a series which I have started with a view to help entrepreneurs who have lots and lots of ideas and would like to start lots of projects. In this episode, the focus is on project plan. Yes, I said project plan, and not business plan that you create to impress your bank manager and then lock it away somewhere. I'm not talking about business plan, I'm talking about project plan. A couple of days ago, I watched a HOA by two gentlemen. I hope I pronounced their names correctly. Kenneth Manasseh Sr. and Phil Boyer. The HOA was entitled 15 Signs You Are an Entrepreneur, Entrepreneur Magazine. And they were quite dismissive about business plans. But I would be talking about project plans. Even our David Leopold, who is our distinguished guest today, he is showing the Entrepreneur Magazine. He discussed the same article in one of his HOAs on 19th July. I have great pleasure in welcoming David. I hope others would join me soon, but not as of now, but anyway. Here's our agenda for today. We begin with just a minute where each panel member, as of now, it's only me and David, takes center stage and gives 60 seconds elevator pitch to you all, followed by a short presentation covering the topic of the day. Today it's going to be project plan and how it relates to PRINCE2 methodology. Then we shall have a discussion with the panel members, sharing their experiences and insights. I shall talk about what's coming up in the next episode, and we conclude for today. As in the previous episode, my aim is half an hour, but I would not dare to cut off anyone when the discussion is lively and adding value. Hope we would have a panel full of people today, but it's a hope. We have come to just a minute section. Each of us will have a minute each, and we shall give you our 60-second elevator pitch. Within a minute, each of us will try to explain why anyone should contact us, how it would be helpful for them, and how they can contact and connect with us. There will be penalty if you go over a minute, and it actually makes sense when we have a panel full of people. The penalty is you will have to say the sentence integrate, simplify life 3 times. I apply the same rule to myself, but David, who is the only other panel member at the moment, would decide the penalty, which I go over a minute. Anyway, I have a 1-minute timer going here, and I'm going to start my 60-second now. Namaste. My name is Vivekanand. Vivek Technology is my company. I believe in living a simple life. I believe in thinking differently. I am proud to share my beliefs with Steve Jobs and Leonardo da Vinci, who said simplicity is the ultimate in sophistication. Here's my simple way. Avoid cowboys. Work with the Indian. Let the Indian handle technology. And you live an integrated, simple life. To integrate, simplify life, contact me through my Google Plus page or my website, wake-technology.com. Hope that came in within 60 seconds. It's our guest's turn now. I shall call out each of you, at the moment only David, and it's David's turn now. David, you need to unmute.
I'm always fearful, Vivek, that if I go over 60 minutes, I have to pay the penalty, so 60 seconds, so I won't do it. My name is David. Google knows me as Small Biz David. I've been a small business owner for over 40 years, and I'm applying my skill sets of the last 40 years and creating a very exciting community, dreaming with entrepreneurs in Google+. And I urge you to take a look at it and come join us. Lots of great information. Vivek is a member of the community himself. We do a lot of very wonderful interactive kinds of things. Oh, and I'm off my 60 seconds now, Vivek, but I wanted to say to you, and this is just coincidentally, I told you I did an HOA earlier today myself, and I will do an HOA, and it doesn't matter if anybody comes. I use that as video marketing. Yeah. As you know, I'm a very staunch believer of video marketing, and it gets into my stream, and Google loves it, so that's how I communicate with the rest of the world. But today, I asked 3 questions, and they fit into your 3. They fit into what we are talking about today. because people get hung up on this business plan thing. They really, really get hung up on it. And my point is, and you stated very well, rather than thinking necessarily about a business plan, think about a project plan, which is part of your business plan. Your project plan is a subset of whatever your business plan might be. But you absolutely need a very detailed business plan if you're going outside of your company for investment. Because an investor will not put money into your company unless they have confidence that you are going to, that you've got a good idea, that it's going to work, it's going to create a profit, and you're going to be able to pay them back. That's it's that simple. But I tell folks, don't get hung up on this business plan thing. You have to have a business. Call it a strategy if you want. Call it a strategy, but you have to write it down. Keep it simple to your point, and make it easily referenced to you so that you can look at it to see if you're following the roadmap, if you're following the charted road journey that you've created, and that's what a plan is. That's what a strategy is. So I just talked about that in an HOA earlier today. But I said if you get real stressed out by this business plan, called a business strategy, and don't necessarily put a lot of detail to it unless you have to.
It's it has to be useful. I've heard people create a business plan, print it, and they somehow make it into hundreds of pages long, and they print it. They even get it bound, spiral binding, whatever binding, and then all the enthusiasm is gone by the time that process is over. I really don't know, but that's the whole point. Creating and printing the business plan, in my view, kind of not written in stone, but written on paper. You do need it, but one has to be aware of the fact that it needs to change, it needs to adopt, it needs to, as you go along, there will be changes, so you have to incorporate the changes. So probably 10, 15, or maybe even 20 years ago, printing out things and filing it was the only sensible thing to do, because the computers were new, or we were not used to them, or whatever. And but nowadays, we have computers in our hand all the time. Your phone is nothing but a pocket computer, if you will. And printing it and not using it is no excuse. Anyway,
might I make a recommendation, Vivek, to folks who are viewing? If you need, well, first of all, I had never written a business plan myself in all my years of being in business. I never wrote a plan until about 6 years ago, maybe 5 years ago, whatever. And I bought some software from Palo Alto Software. It's called Business Plan Pro. It cost me then under $100 for the software, and you know, I spent 2 days. The software asks you all the questions, so you have to go through the thought process of, okay, what am I going to do? What is going to be my journey? What message I want to take to the marketplace? It takes you through the whole process, not necessarily in the order that the plan gets written, and then you answer all the questions, and there probably were, I'm just going to guess, maybe 100 questions. Maybe 100 questions. And at the end of it, you push a button and it prints it out. It prints it out itself. It creates the written document. Now, it was a great, great exercise for me to do that because it made me think. It made me really think, am I doing the right thing? You know, ideas, they start with idea. They start with a dream. Richard Branson today he posted a blog about how important ideas are, but that's just the beginning. You don't know if that idea is any good until you create a plan, create a strategy of how you're going to execute it, and go out and do it. Now, you may find that, well, it's not working as I thought it might be. Well, that's okay. That's what business is all about. It's understanding that, okay, maybe you read the market wrong, maybe you're not introducing it right, maybe you're not your marketing communications aren't right. So to your point, you change it. You change it. That doesn't say the idea isn't good. That says all the things around that idea maybe need to be rethought. So just go back and start over again.
Yeah.
But just a thought.
Yeah. We have actually now come to the topic of the day. I shall show you a short presentation using the monitor, screen share, and a combination of the two. Let me start with the agenda for this presentation. Why project plan is the first question I would attempt to answer. And the answer is actually, well, project plan is required simply because it would be you who would be using it, not the bank manager. Business plan, probably you show it to the bank manager, maybe to venture capitalist, somebody like that. But project plan, you create it, you use it. And in the previous episode, I mentioned business case. The previous episode was all about business case, why you need it, how you do it, what does it look like, and so on. And the business case that we discussed in that episode is an integral part of the project plan. If the business case then becomes invalid, it acts like a self-destruct for the project, and that protects the rest of the resources within your company. Then that brings me to the question, how does one create a project plan? So I would do that, and I would follow that with an example of a project plan as an answer to the what question. Let me show you a detailed mind map. I'm going to do a screen share, and it is recommended that I pin one of you. Because normally when you try screen share, sometimes the host gets kicked out of the Hangout. And unless someone else is pinned, the whole Hangout would crash. So I have pinned you, David. So let me start the screen share. Okay, that seemed to have worked. Here's a mind map that I showed you in the trailer, and I promised you that I would explain and simplify it during the HOA. As such, Word templates are available to help you fill in the details. Anybody who wants them can contact me through my Google Plus page or website, and I can share them with you. However, more important than simply filling the template and printing out a document is to use the document properly afterwards. The point is, the project plan itself is an iterative process, and every step in it is iterative too. However, That does not mean you spend every day, all day modifying and updating the project plan. You need to have a balanced approach. The project plan needs to talk about the products that will be produced during and after the project. Let me show this highlighted portion of the mind map in a slightly different way so that it is clearer. First of all, you need to design the project plan itself. By that, what I mean is you need to decide whether it's going to be a mind map, an Excel spreadsheet, a Word document, or a Google Docs document. Any of them, all of them, whichever. The tool used is secondary. What is most important is you decide how you're going to record and maintain your plan. It's not printing it out and storing it in a secure place. No, that's a dead document. Document has to be alive. You need to change it. As I said, it's an iterative process. And then you define and analyze the products that would be produced. What's the product that you're going to produce? You need to define it, analyze it. You need to identify the activities and dependencies that are involved. Then document the plan. At no point if it is all in your head and remains in your head. So it needs to be documented somewhere in some fashion, as I just mentioned. So, and you prepare the estimates and schedule. But right through this process, you have to continually analyze risks involved and make sure the whole thing is worthwhile. Let me once again show you the bigger mind map showing the whole plan. We are back to the big mind map, which looked complicated, but now hopefully it is getting simpler for you, hopefully. The project plan is created during what is formally called as initiating project process. The project plan has separate sections for time, cost, scope, and quality. It identifies products, resources, activities, and major control points, milestones, and management stages. The project plan is used by the project board. That is the image of a project board I showed in the previous episode. Hope you remember them. The project board uses the first version of project plan as a baseline plan to monitor progress and to make sure that it aligns with the corporate plan if there is any. Now, let me share with you details about a project and a project plan of a project that I had worked on some time ago. You would be able to learn more about this particular project on my website, but let me come back into your view once again by closing this screen share as before. I have to pin David again to stop the screen share, otherwise it might crash. Okay. Hopefully that presentation was worthwhile. Now let me start off by sharing some information from a project I was involved in. You would be able to see more details of this project, as I said, on my website. For this project, I put together a team of engineers. This was in 1997 as part of Advanced Applied Technology Group with Tata Infotech. For those who have not heard the name Tata before, Tata is a big group of companies in India that has become a multinational group. World-renowned names such as Jaguar Land Rover, Tetley Tea, Chorus Steel are all part of the Tata Group. The program was to design and develop core competency in mobile computing for the Tata Group. The project was part of this program and specifically required to develop a multimedia wireless network. This was an ambitious plan, and the end goal was Tata Infotech being able to gain competency so that they can take up projects in any of the areas shown in this grand diagram. Please remember that this was a project in 1997 when mobile phones were yet to become commonplace and wireless networking was as yet unheard of. I'm now talking about the sections from the project plan. David, you can interject whenever you want. I'm talking about the project sections from the project plan. The product was wireless network protocol suite. Then I had to identify the activity that was required. It was required to modify the Linux kernel. Dependencies were identified. It was necessary to make sure that the wireless networking card was available. It was also necessary to make sure that the team had software developers with necessary skills and aptitude to learn new technology. The project was divided into 6 steps, 6 stages. Procure necessary hardware and software, form a team of engineers to develop the software, form an alliance with the research institutions or individuals within such institutions, get the hardware working together with the wireless hardware, design and develop protocol suite, and then develop training material for internal use. After this, I had to prepare estimates of work involved, costs of hardware, software, and manpower requirements. I prepared the schedules of work for each stage. Quality standards to be used were defined, as company was already going through ISO certification that was part of company-wide program. Risks were identified. There was a risk that the wireless networking card would not be available. There were restrictions on import of electronic items into India at that time, and the wireless cards available were from Lucent in USA, and they had to be imported. So this was a major risk factor. Software development was risky because the software driver component available with the hardware was untried and it was largely experimental. Our software development depended on software driver that we got from them. It had to work without problems, and we were developing on top of the software driver, so it was indeed a major risk. Project organization structure was defined in the project plan. A project board was created with my manager as the executive. I was the project manager. Head of one of the other software groups was given the role of senior user. I mentioned in the previous episode of the HOA. The project plan for this project clearly stated the scope of the project. It was to modify the Linux kernel to make use of the wireless networking card and to enable wireless networking. Now, results as such are not part of the project plan, but I just want to share the results with everyone. The project went on for a year. Software protocol stack was produced, which improved the network throughput by 60%. After completion of this specific project, there was another project which used this protocol suite to develop a platform for application development utilizing the mobile network. In other words, the output of one project can become the input for the next project. It was a very interesting project which resulted in the company gaining core competency in mobile computing. Now, I'm sure David has a few experiences of his own, so I'm opening the floor. David, over to you.
Excuse me. It was real interesting to listen to you, Vivek, because in my lifetime, in my business lifetime, I've never done anything probably quite as detailed as you had to do it, and I guess that's the nature of technology. Your background is technology, so when you're talking about technology, when you're doing technology, things need to be defined. Probably a little bit more. Most of the things that I've done in my lifetime are more conceptual. So when we had a project definition, it was many times kind of a contractual type agreement between myself and the other party. So
I would slightly disagree with you there in the sense, okay. To begin with, the project that I talked about was more of a research and development project. As I said, this was in '97. Mobile computing was unheard of. I mean, if you go out and tell somebody I'm working in mobile computing, they would start thinking mobile. So is it a car? Is it a truck? Is it a because that's the only thing that they could think of at that time in terms of mobile, and computing was they never thought of. But anyway, coming back to what you were saying, even for a research and development project, if you apply PRINCE2 and apply the structures and say this is what we are going to achieve and these are the benefits, these are the disbenefits, these are the shortcomings, these are the risks, this is the time scale. When you do that, you know you would get something out of it, whatever that is. So the point I disagree with you is actually it's not just for technology. It's for anything. And even for things like research and development, where actually in research you never know what you actually get. Finally, it's not an ironclad thing. It's not a guarantee that you would get some specific thing. You might get it, hopefully, or you might get something slightly different. You might get something which is entirely, completely might change the whole entire industry. You never really know, but that's the way research goes. But I don't know. Have I? What do you think of that?
I think we were probably saying pretty much the same thing. We said it a little bit differently in that the way that we have used the concept. I mean, I have used modifications of what you just said, and in fact, we had to have there had to be a document created where all of those things were spelled out in that document, so that me as the vendor, so to speak, the supplier of the service to a customer, There had to be a clear understanding of what deliverables were going to be, and an acceptance of those terms, and performance objectives. I have spent many years of my life doing something that most folks in my position aren't willing to do, and that is work on performance. I get paid a certain level, a much lower level, but if I perform to agreed objectives and or exceed those, I get more money. And so, you know, it was performance was a little bit different, but be that as it may, all the things had to be spelled out. That's essentially what we're talking about today, is that it's a tool of communication, so that you know that you're here's what you plan to do, and whomever might be funding it, or you might be performing the service for a client, whatever, who's ever doing it, there's a clear understanding of what you're going to be doing, so that project definition, it's something. It's a communication tool between two parties and between the team of folks who are performing, so that everybody understands what the expectations are of the different entities involved in that project.
Yeah, it is. I was going to say, technology often keeps changing, and often it's. I mean, you said for technology things, probably you need things written down in a formal way, in detail. But I would say that yeah, it makes sense always to know what you are going to achieve and work towards that, and then when there are changes that you need to make, do the changes, but make sure that you still haven't lost the point about the business case, not business plan, business case. Why you are doing it? Is it beneficial? Is it viable? Is it profitable? Is it working? Is it achieving what you want to achieve? Keep evaluating, and then if it's not working, then either change it or stop it. So that's one of the major things of major backbones of PRINCE2 as it is. So yeah, I wish we had more participants, so panel members. Anyway, we haven't. It was a great discussion with you, David. And we have now come to what's coming up next week. Next week, same time, same place, we would talk about risk theme of PRINCE2. Here's a mind map. I know it does look intimidating, and am I risking scaring you away? Let me share a Seth Godin quote about risk. In his book, The Icarus Deception, Seth Godin says, safest thing you can do is take a risk, or what feels like a risk. And the riskiest thing you can do is play it safe. So how about that? Safest thing you can do is take a risk, or what feels like a risk, and the riskiest thing you can do is play it safe. So next week I shall be talking about how risk is handled in PRINCE2, and shall I say, you better not risk forgetting to join us. We are now closing in on the end of the show for today. Any closing thoughts, David?
Well, I am starting to, really understand this whole concept, and you've broken it down very well. As I said, it's probably something that I wish I had in my business life 30 years ago or 40 years ago, because I have not. I mean, I operate a lot by, I've operated a lot by the seat of my pants. If it works, you keep on going. If it doesn't work, you change it to make it work. And if you can't change it to make it work, you delete it and start all over again. Something that does work. There's the thought process that goes into Prince is what it's all about, and why it's so very important. It keeps you organized. It keeps you on track. It keeps you heading in the right direction on something. And I'm really looking forward to next week's discussion on risk, because I have some definite opinions about risk myself, and I'm kind of wondering why. I'd like to know why Seth made the comments that he did. I think I know why he made those comments, but I'd like to see his commentary on those things. Maybe I'll have to get a copy of the book and see what he has to say about it.
Yeah, the book is called The Icarus Deception. It's available on Amazon, but I actually have his audio version, so I don't have a physical version. I have an audio through Audible, and that book he himself has read it, so it's in his own words, in his own voice. So yeah, I have that Audible.
Maybe you can play some of the audio book, and we can listen to Seth. You bring up a good point on audiobooks. I love audiobooks, and here's why I do. You and I read a book, and then we have to interpret what we think the author is saying. When you listen to the author share their words, you can tell by their tone inflections. You can tell by their by the pauses that they take.
Yeah.
I like to. I've got 3 or 4, 4 or 5 Michael Gerber audiobooks where he's taken his books, and he's a great example because he talks about all these things, these different concepts, and you're saying, well, what's he really mean there? And then when you hear him,
there also is a I think it's a 45-minute YouTube video. Somebody I forget the name, but he interviewed Seth Godin about this specific book, and they both in the interview they talk about the book, what's in the book, and the quote I gave you. And in fact, even the picture that I showed you is from that YouTube. I shall put that link to that YouTube video on the event stream.
Yeah, do that. Because I'd like to take a look at that YouTube before next week.
Yeah, and so we have come to the end of today's show. I'm sure you would want to know more, as this is a series of HOAs. There is more to come. Thank you for watching the show. Do please share the link to this show on Google Plus and YouTube and so on. You can reach me through my Google Plus profile or through my website, wake-technology.com. And my closing comments, as usual, are integrate, simplify, life.